And here, Thomas announced to his audience of stuffed animals, is the most important exhibit. Thomas carefully placed a shiny black rock on a small velvet pillow. He was the curator of his very own museum. His bedroom shelves were filled with colorful plastic dinosaurs, books with amazing pictures, and his most prized possessions, real fossils. Thomas had a smooth gray ammonite that looked like a swirly snail shell and a bumpy piece of real dinosaur bone. Using a soft paintbrush, Thomas gently dusted each treasure. A real museum curator has to keep history safe and clean. Thomas imagined the world millions of years ago, a world filled with giant creatures and strange plants. It was his job to protect the story of that ancient time for everyone to enjoy. Thomas smiled at his perfect collection. Suddenly, a mysterious package was sitting on his desk. It was a long wooden box with strange symbols carved on the lid. Thomas was sure it wasn't there a minute ago. Where did it come from? A jolt of excitement fizzed inside him. Thomas carefully lifted the heavy lid. Inside, nestled on soft white cotton, was a single enormous tooth. It was as long as Thomas's hand and curved like a sharp dagger. A small tag was tied to it with a piece of string. Thomas slowly read the neat writing on the tag. Tyrannosaurus rex, a T-Rex tooth. This was the greatest fossil in the world. Thomas carefully picked it up. It felt heavy, cool, and powerful. This amazing fossil would be the new centerpiece of his museum. Thomas placed the T-Rex tooth on the main display shelf, right in the center. As he stepped back to admire it, he thought he heard something. It was a tiny whisper, like the sound of wind rustling through ancient leaves. "Find the rest," it seemed to say. Thomas looked around his room. His stuffed bear and fuzzy rabbit sat silently. His plastic dinosaurs stood completely still. Was he just imagining things? Thomas leaned closer to the giant tooth, holding his breath to listen. There it was again, a little clearer this time. "My story is not finished," the whisper sighed. The sound was coming right from the fossil. A talking dinosaur tooth? Thomas wasn't scared at all. Thomas was an explorer, and this was a real museum curator mystery. "How can I find your story?" Thomas whispered back to the amazing tooth. The room was quiet for a moment. Then a shimmery image appeared in the air right above the fossil. It looked like a tiny movie made of dust and sunlight. In the image, Thomas saw a huge, leafy fern, the kind he had seen in his dinosaur books. Underneath the giant fern, there was a flash of something that looked like a giant footprint pressed deep into ancient mud. The whisper came again, clearer than ever. "Where the green giants sleep." Thomas knew exactly what that meant. He had a huge book called The World of Dinosaurs. It had a whole chapter about the giant fern forests where the mighty T-Rex used to hunt for its dinner. Thomas carefully took his big book from the shelf. He flipped through the thick pages, his fingers tracing pictures of ancient plants and volcanoes. He finally found the chapter on fern forests, and there, in a big, colorful drawing, was a complete T-Rex skeleton. It was shown half buried near the roots of a giant fern, just like in the shimmery image. The words below the picture explained how scientists pieced together the history of these incredible creatures from just a few bones. Thomas gently placed the T-Rex tooth on the book, right next to the picture of the skeleton. "There," Thomas said proudly, "now your story is complete." The tooth seemed to glow with a warm, happy light, and Thomas felt a cheerful hum in the air. His museum had just solved its very first ancient mystery.